Yeah, when I saw the Jaguar brand, I was like, in my old days, I would have taken a day off to mourn how they fucked that whole thing up. I would have taken a day of mourning, of grieving. I would have worn black the whole day after. I would have been like, this is some bullshit. I would have had a fucking veil on my face. Like, oh my God. Rest in peace, Jaguar. You used to be great. What they did is they put all these old people in young outfits. Ridiculous. I was like, the British are so embarrassed right now. So when people were like, oh, well, they did it to disrupt and blah, 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 and all good PRs, I'm like, that's not true every time. You do not fuck with a heritage brand. You don't. And I don't care if anybody calls me old. Please call me old. Go ahead. My contrarian view on it is not all PR is good PR. Because if that was the reason they did it, they did it. They did it wrong. Like, this is not a Gen Z brand, and it never will be. And instead, they should have stoked on the nostalgia that young people who actually want to honor their own legacy and heritage. Because I know my mom, I'll tell the story. My mom's dream car was a Jaguar when I was growing up. Like, she just was like, one day I'm going to have a Jaguar. If I bought a Jaguar now, it'd be because I would be making my mom's dreams come true through me. Like, that's the messaging versus like, and it's fucking English. Like, the British do not market like that. Like, it's an English brand. Jaguar is holy. Whoever hired the head of brand, they should get fired. Not even the head of brand. It's not her fault. She's young. Did you see her? She's like 10. Like, did you see who she is? She looks like she's 10 years old. I am not joking. I'm exaggerating, but she's like 25. You're going to have the chief brand officer of a heritage brand be 25. That's reserved for a viral makeup trend that's sold on Sephora on their monthly, like, what's upcoming and new. That's a cosmetics thing. They fucking, like, I'm not selling eyeshadow over here. Like, she would be amazing for eyeshadow. Think about when you drive your car, do you drive your car to be anything but safe in general? You don't need a gimmick to buy a car. You either need to feel prestige or practical,
Mhm.
one or the other. What they did at Jaguar was did not, none of that. They didn't make me feel prestigious and they didn't make me feel practical. They made me feel stupid, silly, folly. This is all folly. And we put a Gen Zer in charge, and now even more people who are elder millennials and older, like me, are like, we're all fucked. We are all fucked because if this is how marketing is going to go, I'm out too. I'm like, oh, makeup brand. This is not Sephora. By the way, though, Sephora is it. Well, no, Sephora is a French brand. Sephora is a French brand, but I think the French are laughing at them. To other people, it's like, oh, brand fail. I'm like, no, it's actually perpetuating this idea that that's what people think the world wants is this folly. Know who your real audience is. And even if you want to appeal to a new audience, ask yourself what your brand is already good at and how can you translate that story to the new audience instead of trying to radically change everything when you never needed to do that at all. So back to what I said about the story of like my mother and how I would have loved them to speak to me or even my daughter about like this generational story that honors the heritage because you can still speak to young people because I totally see why they were doing it, I think, besides just not being qualified to work on a heritage brand. This is not you trying to turn a car brand into a makeup brand so that it'll appeal to young people because they want new customers, which makes sense. That's like basic. But what they didn't do is they didn't honor, honestly, it comes back to actually brand archetype too. Their archetype is not maverick. They are actually trying to market it like a provocateur brand right now, which is making a joke of it instead of the fact that it's a heritage brand. It's like a ruler brand. And so you can still sell prestige to a mass audience by honoring what people trust about it already and still make it fresh and new. You can freshen it up without totally abandoning the brand's current brand equity. Like, what a waste.